So for today's video, I have come outside, and that is because for the last 5 weeks or so we have been enjoying a heat wave in the UK, and we haven't had any rain for 5 weeks either, which is why the grass is completely yellow, and I'm told it's coming to an end today. And it's been great for flying. I have no complaints. However, for making reviews, it has been really tricky because we're not used to 27 degrees Celsius every day in the UK, and the tarmac on the road's been melting, and the houses are full of insulation for the winter. So, you know, it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the house most of the time, and it's made it difficult to do the review part in the house because my camera keeps overheating, the fan on the computer is really loud, and it's overpowering the audio. So I thought, I'm coming outside today and it's cooling down a little bit, and I'm really excited for today's product. So this is the GEPRC KHX5, so that's the name of the frame. And I know people are going to see this and it's going to be really hard to resist typing in the comments something like, that is a clone of the remix, or that is a clone of the Shamalama Ding Dong, or it's a clone of the Rooster. And you would be wrong. This frame has been around longer than most of those, certainly longer than the Rooster and the remix. And I find it's interesting actually when a lesser known company has a frame like this and the larger companies have a similar frame, they never go, oh, the Rooster is a clone of the GEPRC KHX5. Anyways, it's all a bit daft. But no, it's an original frame. It is very similar to the Armaton with this cage, but it's completely different. And it's a Freestyle copter. So I want to talk a little bit about Freestyle, because on the market there are just so many bind and fly RTF copters, but all of them are race copters. So if you take the Hawk 5 for example, or the HL-RC Batman, those are the two top end ones. You know, you can stick a GoPro on the top of them and you can fly them like a Freestyle frame. So racing is racing through, you know, hoops and stuff and gates, and Freestyle is just, you know, flying for free around objects, not racing, nothing to do with speed. And I've been meeting up with groups of people flying lately, and when I do, they don't have any race copters whatsoever. There is a line of Reverbs, Aliens and Armatons, and the reason for that, I realized, was that I was taking my race quad along, sticking a GoPro on the top, and we'd go to all these epic locations, and when I got back my footage was the worst because the props were in shot, and I wasn't able to do certain tricks because my battery was mounted on the bottom. So there is a forfeit for that. To get the battery on the top like that, the copter is heavier. However, a heavier copter is better for Freestyle because, you know, you get that more flowy, slow, nice camera work, and I think that's the idea with Freestyle. So, you know, when I see the remix and, you know, the Alien, I think, oh, too heavy, too slow. You don't need it to be fast, and you get great footage from it. It's more of a cinematography thing than a quadcopter thing. And, you know, these things are tuned so nicely that if you just fly them straight, you wouldn't know it was like from a DJI gimbal. But when you've got props in shot, you know that it's from a mini quad. So that is the mentality for going heavier and having a Freestyle copter. And there's not many RTFs, you know. And if you look at the price of this one, I think it's something like £207, or is that $266, which sounds expensive, doesn't it? But then if you look up how much it is for a Reverb with exactly the same components, I think it was coming to like $700. And same if you want someone to custom build you an Armaton as well. So I think this one is priced really nicely. And then when you look at the specs, I think you will agree, this seems like a really nice package. So let's talk about the weight though. So I've got a 1500, it's actually a 1550 Tattoo 4S on here, and a GoPro Session 5. It weighs 630 grams against, you know, the sub 500 grams of the race frame versions. So, you know, they are heavy, but it's for getting good footage, like I say. So let's talk about the specs of this one, because it's really impressive. First of all, GEPRC, you know, they did the Sparrow, I think, which was the 3-inch copter, and that was a really nice package. This is a really nice package as well. So the motors are a GEPRC branded. They are a 2306 2450 kV. Now, very similar to the HLRC motors, we have got some protection here for the wires of the motors, and the wires of the motors go underneath the frame. We've got these holes in the arm there, and then we've got some heat shrink around there to keep it nice and tidy. We have got a hex screw there, so we can easily remove the bell, and a hollow shaft. The props are the GEPRC 5x40, so you know, a freestyle prop there. We're not going to be getting speed out of them. And then the guts is actually, this is all GEPRC stuff, so I got the manual here. The guts is the GEPRC span tower. Now this is pretty impressive. It's actually mounted upside down, so it's a 4-in-1 ESC board. It is 40 amp, it is BL Pali S, and supports D-Shot 600, so they're not 32-bit. That's the only really downside of that. Yeah, so 40 amp there with a XT60 connector, and that comes up the side of the frame and hooks in there nicely there. And then the flight controller is an Omnibus F4, and it's got Betaflight on-screen display, and it's also got a built-in VTX as well. And the VTX has smart audio, so it's 48 channel, it's got pit mode, and it goes all the way up to 600 milliwatt, which is great for freestyle. It's actually come with a RXSR receiver, and another slight downside is the telemetry wasn't connected, but they have given you the schematic here. So I've actually installed the telemetry wire, so it's all uninverted, so I had to use the uninverted pad on the receiver, but that wasn't too difficult. Be careful though, because when you undo these screws here and lift it up, the receiver is attached to this bottom plate, and it ripped both of the little connectors off of the receiver, so I had to glue that back on, because you can see we have a 3D printed mount here for the antennas. Now be careful with this as well, because these are loose. I need to get some heat on there, otherwise that's going to come apart. And we have got a 3D printed mount here for the pagoda antenna. It's a GEPRC pagoda antenna, and that connects to the VTX using an MMCX connector. We have a buzzer in there, and we've also got some nice LEDs, so fantastic for freestyle following other pilots. You are given 3 grippy battery straps. You're not given a battery, and you're also given a nice silicone mat that fits perfect for this frame. Now we have got a RunCam 2 camera up the front there, and let's see if I can see what the lens is. So it's a 2.1mm lens, completely protected in a crash for when you're flying around concrete and stuff like that. And my only slight downside of this frame I've noticed is the sides here, they are quite weak, and there's only 2 screws going in there to keep them in. So yeah, a little bit of a weakness there. I don't think they're structural, but I can see that breaking first. The receiver, yeah, it was plugged in, so yeah, plug and play receiver, and you can put any receiver in there you want. But as I say, this came with the RXSR. So what else do you get in the box? Well, I talked about the instruction manual, which, you know, it doesn't have a lot. It shows you Betaflight and stuff, shows you how to set up the smart audio, which is Tramp, I think, although that was already set up. You've got, whoa, everything's flying away, it's a bit windy here today. Some stickers, you've got the XSR instruction manual, more stickers, you get loads of stuff with this, loads and loads of props. Let me just put those in there so they don't blow away. Oh, I don't know, let's check, let's count them, because I got the ones that are on the copter. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pairs of props, you know, so I think that is pretty decent. You get a lot with this package, so you know, you cannot knock them for that. Man, everything's gonna get blown away. And yeah, you get loads of stuff in here as well. So you get a spare straw for your antenna. It comes already like that, you know. I haven't changed anything there, which I'm always a fan of. Got loads of these strips, and I've added them on there. It's little foam strips for your GoPro to sit on. And you also have got a foam strip, I don't know, it's in the shape of the 3D printed mount there. So a few of those, I'm not sure what you'd use those for. We've got some bumpers for the motors. I'm not going to be putting those on. Got a huge piece of foam here. I think that is for maybe cutting down and putting underneath. I don't know. I'm probably not going to do that. You get given another silicone mat if that one wears out. I've never had one of those wear out. And look at this. You get 2 spare arms for if you break an arm. That is so good. And you got the run cam controller there for the camera, although, you know, it was set up fine. And we've got some spare screws, a spare one of the ends here, and which is good because I think I'm going to lose them. I might just take those off there. Oh, and you're also given a larger pagoda antenna, because this one, yeah, it's got an MMCX connector on the end, so it plugs in straight to there. So if you wanted to change your antenna, you'd have to be with an antenna that's also got an MMCX plug on the end. But man, this thing looks really cool. And now, as for Betaflight, however, it wasn't set up too great. It's just got stock PIDs in there. It's got some modes set up, but it doesn't have anti-gravity, air mode, dynamic filters, or anything like that. So, you know, you need to be accustomed to Betaflight to set it up. But man, I'm really excited to try this. One thing that I noticed it did have is it had a slight adjustment on the accelerometer on the pitch. So I haven't been doing line of sight because the speed meter has been telling me, you know, what the performance is. These aren't for performance, and I just want to make sure there's no problem in angle mode for beginners, like no drift. So I'm just going to fire it up and do a quick line of sight with it. You know, as I've been talking here, it's gotten really dull over there. That's funny. And it looks like today is going to be the first day of rain. So I'm in angle mode here, and it is drifting. I don't think there's an isolated IMU on this, so maybe that just needs resetting. Oh, it could be the wind, actually. I think it's the wind. Yeah, because it's fine. It's fine. I don't think I'm concerned about it. What I'm going to do is, let's flick it into acro mode. And then once I've done flying it around for like a second, then I'll flick it back into angle, and we'll see if there's any problems. Now, this is the stock tune. I think I am hearing some fluttering. And I think you can hear it there, like a gurgle. I'll need to look at that. Yep, so GEPRC, it would have been awesome if you could have tuned it. I'm pretty sure it's the stock Betaflight tune. I think it was it 3.25 it came with? Yeah. It's not mid-throttle oscillations, it's not noise, because I've already checked that. I've ran it without the props on, and the motors run really smooth. But yeah, I'm gonna have to stick some batteries through it and get it tuned, because the GoPro is going to be staying on this one. Hopefully the props are out of shot. And yeah, I'm going to work more on freestyle stuff. So the alien that you can see down there, it's getting KISS V2 put on it and a Mr. Steel PDB. And I'll film the process of that, because my plan is to go to different spots this year and moving forward. So I do like flying at this field, but it's a request I get a lot from you guys to fly at different spots, and you guys have been loving the videos that I've been doing, you know, flying with friends and stuff. Man, it is getting blooming dark here. I ain't got much time. Let's have a listen at the noise. Yeah, that's from those low-pitched props. But you know, we don't have to really worry about efficiency with Freestyle, and the noisier the better with Freestyle. I'm a little bit concerned about the length of the pagoda antenna, because I don't usually use a pagoda antenna here, because quite often I'm above myself and they have like a dead zone when you fly fairly close above yourself. So I might have to take a look at that. But man, this package is pretty cool. Okay, I think I'm gonna get rained on. Man, what are the chances? 5 weeks of no rain. I come out here for the first time in ages to do a video, and it looks like it's gonna throw it down. Right, what was I interested in? I actually came with horizon mode keyed into this, but I've taken that out. Yeah, I think there is a bit of drift, you know. I mean, yeah, it's not gonna bother me. I think it's the setting. Yeah, it's on the pitch. So I'm going to take that out. It just needs the accelerometer recalibrating. I guess this is from the factory, but that's hands off and off it goes. But it's not like getting worse, you know, it's in a constant direction. So it's not noise that's causing it. Yeah, there's a big capacitor on the back, actually. I wonder if I can show you that. Wonder if I can land on the box. Please don't cut up the box. Oh, let me flick it out of angle mode. Whoa, just about. Yeah, I don't know if you can see. Nah, the receiver gets in the way. You can just about access the bind button on the receiver through here. There's also a button on there for changing the channels if you don't want to use smart audio, but why would you? Yeah, I wonder if I can take the battery off. So there is a capacitor on here as well. I think it's one of GEPRC's own capacitors. You can't see because the battery strap's in the way. It's there, big capacitor. So yeah, just needs the accelerometer calibrating, I think. Alrighty, so it did a quick downpour, but it wasn't the thunderstorm that the news was saying. What is it with the news and like all of these weather warnings, and then like it rains for like 5 minutes, man? They're so dramatic, aren't they? They absolutely love creating fear and drama, don't they? Anyways, onto the flight, and straight away you can see on the GoPro footage that I am still getting a bit of the props in shot. Now that might be because I'm using super view, but I do think frames like the Reverb and the Alien does a slightly better job at getting the props out of the view. And I think it's because with the Alien I usually like print off with a 3D printer a GoPro mount, and it lifts the camera up a little bit. But with this frame, the GoPro sits right on top of the FPV camera, and of course the props and arms in this one are lifted up. Can you see? So if we look at the DVR footage, the props are above the FPV camera, and that's because the arms are lifted up. So in this instance, actually the frame doesn't do as good of a job at getting the props out of the shot as the Alien and the Reverb. However, I do think that if I didn't use Super View, or if I maybe just lifted the camera up, maybe use some more of that foam, then I could get the props out of the shot. Yeah, but I was a little surprised at that. So as for how it flew, it felt heavy. It really did. I think actually these low-pitched props, even though they've given a lot of them to me, you know, I'm probably going to switch them out to maybe a 50-46, because they are revving really high and the amp draw is going up to 100 amps, but the copter isn't really moving that much, and I'm just so used to a lightweight copter and having loads of speed, and you know, this just didn't have that at all. You know, it felt like I was having to give it full throttle to get out a lot of these dives and maneuvers and stuff, but you know, it was still a load of fun to fly. I think the biggest thing that I noticed was it was a little bit of noise feeding through to the VTX under throttle. It's like kind of like a rainbow effect, and you know, I've used the GEPRC capacitors before, and I think it's actually that that's causing it. They haven't worked very well in the past, so you know, I think maybe switching that out would get rid of some of that. And again, it's not debilitating at all, and you know, I didn't notice it while I was flying. It's just when I watch it back here, but it is there. And you know, they advertise it as having, you know, filtering for filtering out noise, but you know, there are other systems out there that do a better job, is all I will say. But the current meter seems accurate, and I managed to get a nice tune out of it, so I'll overlay that on top of here. But I was flying between rain clouds here, and you know, I think for the money it is a good package compared to spending, you know, nearly $1,000 on one of the Impulse RTFs, you know. So, and I like the fact that it's got the XSR, and you know, you can do the mod to get the telemetry to do your Lua scripts, and I did all that. So yeah, in general, I think I'd recommend it for freestyle. And you know, I'm gonna get back into freestyle. I'm gonna be building that alien, so you know, watch out for that, or should I say updating the alien. So yeah, I think, you know, a 4-minute flight time on this 1550 battery was pretty good, and you can see there we're coming up to, you know, over 1550 there. So I'll come in for a landing, and I'll link it in the below. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.